Hey, what's going on? I'm Zach. This is Institute Fitness, and we are going to go over the Metabolic Analysis Worksheet, which is one of the resources on the resources page, www.institutefitness.com. The Metabolic Analysis Worksheet, or MAW, is intended to really show you where you are at right now from a resting metabolic rate standpoint, and also from a total daily energy expenditure standpoint, so that you have an idea of what your energy intake needs are and what your body's current energy output is. This is extremely important whenever it comes to designing a successful program, because you don't want to just guess what your body needs. You want to know what your body needs and then provide it a very healthy surplus or deficit to allow you to definitely get results instantly, and then be able to sustain those results for as long as your goal stays the same. So the intent of this worksheet is for you to do it after you have done a body composition test. However, if you've not done that yet, I think it's completely okay for you to follow along so that you become very familiar with this process. You'll be one step ahead whenever it comes to actually inputting your numbers. But if you've already done your own personal body fat test, I think it's a good thing to follow along with me. Feel free to pause this video as you're inputting your numbers and then come back to it to reference as a reference point if you happen to need any clarification on any of these sections. Now, quick disclaimer is that I am not a PDF guru, and I did create all of these forms myself. So there's a little bit of glitch here and there, but it definitely works, and I'll just talk you through those glitches. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to put in my numbers, the first numbers that I put up on the website from what I took the other day. And that's going to be that my weight was 199.4 and my body fat percentage was 14.4%. Now, as I do that, the calculation occurs by itself. This calculation is very simple. It's taking my body weight times my body fat percentage and telling me that I now have 28.7 pounds of body fat on my frame. Now, if I want to take my body weight and subtract the number of pounds of fat, it's going to tell me my pounds of lean body mass. Now, this is the first glitch. Notice that it's the same as my body weight. Not sure why, but I need to put in any number down here, and then this calculation corrects itself. So right now, my lean body mass is sitting at 170.7. So 28.7 pounds of body fat, 170.7 pounds of lean body mass, and that's my current body composition. So let's move forward into what is my goal? Where do I want that to be? Well, based on things that I know and some criteria that I've set for myself, my personal goals is that I want to get back to 215 at 10% body fat. Now the math here is very simple. 10% of 215 is 21.5. So this means that my goal pounds of fat is 21.5 pounds of fat. My goal lean body mass is 193.5. So let's say, for example, I'm just going to change these numbers up. Let's say, for example, your goal weight was 150 and then your goal body fat percentages was, let's say, 20. The numbers adjust accordingly, right? 20% of 150 is 30. So we're going to go back to where I was, 215 at 10% body fat, and we're going to compare these numbers. So if we look at my goal body fat compared to where my fat is right now, 28.7 down to 21.5. That means I need to lose 7.2 pounds of fat to get to my 100% goal as far as how many pounds of fat are on my body. That's not difficult at all. If you follow the program and if you really learn the information that I'm here to teach, you'll start to understand that losing 7 pounds of fat is, a 2-month-long process at most. And for a lot of really well-conditioned athletes, you could make a 7-pound fat loss happen within a month. However, a lot of people stumble through, they don't put the program together the right way, and this is not negating that losing 7 pounds of actual fat has proven to be difficult for many people because they don't have their program pieced together the right way. But I will tell you, it's a very simple goal. It's very easy to achieve that type of fat loss. However, lean body mass being 193.5, coming from 170.7, that's a significant jump. So we're talking about almost 23 pounds of lean body mass that I have to put on. So I have to add 23 pounds of muscle. That's a much harder task. That's a much lengthier task, requires a lot more effort. So which one of these goals should I do first? Well, to be honest, there's no real answer. If this were you and you were choosing for yourself, it would just be about where your motivation lies. So for me, if I right now wanted to get leaner, the thing that I was more motivated about was having more muscle definition, and I wanted to get a leaner physique, then I would go ahead and just drop the 7 pounds of fat, get to my goal, and shoot. I could start adding lean body mass from there. But one thing we know is that losing fat does not necessarily help you gain muscle in any way, shape, or form. However, gaining muscle does add to your total resting metabolic rate as well as maybe just your overall total daily energy expenditure. So by gaining lean body mass, it may make it a little bit easier for you to achieve that goal body fat in the future. Not only that, but this is a harder, lengthier process because it's so much of, 23-pound gain. So for me, I'm going to get started on that. I'm going to start gaining muscle. So my goal is going to be to start gaining this 23 pounds of lean body mass without gaining any fat because I don't want to get farther away from my fat goal. I don't want to gain 10 or 15 or 20 pounds of fat while I'm gaining this lean body mass because that's just that much fat that I have to take away eventually. So I just want to go through a nice, healthy weight gain program that allows me to add pretty much just pure muscle and not really worry about gaining any fat. All right, so let's go ahead and put these numbers in down here. This is just a chart for you to be able to track it. I'm going to select yesterday's date because this is when I actually did my body fat test. Again, my weight was at 199.4. My body fat percentage was at 14.4. And this points is pretty much irrelevant right now. I'm going to put an NA for not applicable because this is my baseline measurement and I don't have any actual change to track right now. Now, what this little chart is down here, it's kind of a fun way. It's something that is used often in the bodybuilding world or in the fitness world to track clients' results. What it represents is that we don't want unhealthy weight gain or unhealthy weight loss. So in other words, when you're losing weight, we don't want you to tear down muscle. And when you're gaining weight, we don't want you to build a bunch of fat or gain a bunch of fat. We want you to build lean mass, right? So the point here is that you will get negative points associated with negative result. In other words, gaining fat or losing muscle, those are negative results. So you will get negative points for those things. And if you are doing the positive results, so in other words, you're losing fat and gaining muscle, you will get the positive associated points with those. Now, fat is an easier task to handle. Losing and gaining fat, it comes a little bit easier. So fat is typically worth about 1 point, and then lean body mass is worth 3 points. The reason it's so high is because we do not want you to lose lean body mass. That is not healthy. So if you lose 1 pound of lean body mass, that's a negative 3 points. That would negate a 3-pound fat loss. So if you lose 4 pounds, but 3 of those pounds are fat and 1 of those pounds are muscle, you would effectively get 0 points. So looking at a scale, it may feel good. Hey, I just lost 4 pounds. But if 1 of those pounds was lean body mass, you're going to get 0 points. So what this does is this helps us make sure that you're really focusing on changing your body composition as opposed to just losing weight or just gaining weight. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to revisit this every 4 weeks. I am going to do a body composition test once every week, but doing a points assessment would be a little bit difficult to do. I'm not going to see as big of a drastic change necessarily. So for me, I like to do this about every 4 weeks. So I'm going to set the first one for 4 weeks out and then the next one for 4 weeks after that. And then I will just come plug those numbers in, multiply them by 1 and 3 respectively, and figure out how many points I get. All right, so this is just kind of a fun tool for you to play around with. Feel free to do it or feel free to not do it. It really doesn't matter. So let's move forward, okay? Now that we understand what your resting metabolic, or how many pounds of lean body mass you have, we're going to understand your resting metabolic rate. So this number here, lean body mass, is just transferred right down here to pounds of lean body mass. Then we're dividing it by 2.205, and the reason for that is that we're going to turn it into kilograms. Then we're going to multiply by a static number, 30.4. I got this formula out of Arnold Schwarzenegger's The New Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding. This is probably the book that I've owned the longest in my life in regards to fitness, and it is a phenomenal book. He did a great job of really throwing a little bit of science in there, but making it really foundational, kind of basic level science, so that it's stuff that is pretty much applicable to every single program, and then just kind of allowing it to be the foundation of everybody's program from there. And you can always build from, from the basics that he's teaching you in this book. So again, I don't necessarily know where this number 30.4 came from, but I've been using this for years, and it's seemingly pretty effective as far as giving us an overall baseline for your resting metabolic rate. So if I do use this formula, it's going to tell me that my current resting metabolic rate is about 2,300 calories. Awesome. That really doesn't tell me anything other than the fact that at a resting state, my body will burn about 2,300, 2,350 calories. So that is important, but moving forward and figuring out how to get results is not necessarily based on the resting metabolic rate. So in order to really understand how to get results from a body composition standpoint, or even how much energy to provide yourself if you're an athlete, we have to look a little bit deeper into how many calories your body totally burns on a daily basis. So this number is what's called the total daily energy expenditure, TDEE. It's comprised of two elements, the biggest one being your resting energy expenditure, which is your basal metabolic rate, your BMR, or really your RMR, which is the resting metabolic rate that we just learned about. They're not technically the same number, but the concept is similar enough for you to understand that this is a number that just kind of happens automatically just based on you doing no actual activities. Now with the non-resting energy expenditure, this is the exact opposite. Non-resting is going to be things like non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Thermogenesis just, again, is really just talking about producing heat. So this is your non-exercise activity. This is the stuff that you do all day long that isn't intentional exercise. Then we have the thermic effect of food, which is basically the heat produced when everybody's digesting food. And then we have finally the exercise activity thermogenesis. So actually the number of calories you burn during exercise, typically speaking, is going to be probably the smallest part of your overall energy expenditure. And for this reason, it's very important that when you want to focus on changing your body composition, you are not just focused on burning calories on a daily basis. When you want to change the way your body looks or even the way your body performs, the main thing you need to focus on is the body as a whole machine. So looking forward, we're going to go ahead and plug in a number here. Now I've left this blank because I want to give you the option to either put in BMR, which is technically the right one that you should use for this formula, or to utilize RMR. For these purposes, I'm just going to use RMR. But if you wanted to use the BMR, the basal metabolic rate, you can go to institutefitness.com, and under the resources section, there is a download for a spreadsheet. It's called the Institute Fitness Workbook, I believe. And you can download that spreadsheet, and on the metabolic tab, on the metabolic analysis worksheet tab, there is a formula for BMR. So if you prefer to do that, you can go ahead and do that, figure out what the number is, and then come over here and put that number into the BMR spot. Now I'm going to choose my weekly exercise routine or my weekly activity level. For me, I'm probably moderately active. Yeah, probably moderately active. I have a desk job, and I work out probably about 5 days a week, so at a medium intensity. So I would say I'm moderately active. Although maybe some weeks I do maybe go between the very active because I do have a lot of active hobbies. We're just going to go with this moderately active. Now this applies a multiplier. So it takes my resting metabolic rate and it multiplies it by a certain number to give me my estimated total daily energy expenditure. So what this number is, again, this is the number, again, based on all these formulas and science and whatnot, this is the number that is telling me that my total daily energy expenditure is in how many calories total my body is burning per day is 3,650 calories, 3,647. So from a metabolism standpoint or a metabolic standpoint, this is really what you're looking at. My total daily metabolism, the total impact, the amount of calories that my body goes through on a daily basis, 3,647 calories. All right, so hopefully you were able to put your numbers in and follow along with this. This really is the conclusion of the metabolism part. The next part that we're going to go into is nutritional overview, and you'll start to see how does that total daily energy expenditure, how does that affect your nutrition and what your nutritional program should be. Again, I hope you learned something. Can't wait for the next time you come back and study with me at the Institute. Put your numbers in, figure out your TDEE, and start to gain an understanding of your metabolism. And as always, once you have that understanding, bring me those results. All right, take care. See you next time in class.